Hi, and welcome back to the Joyful Productivity course. It's great to have you here for session 2. And the first question that I'm going to have for you today is, when you look back on what you learned in session 1, did you implement anything? And do you have any reflections, any celebrations? Did something work well for you? Did you reconnect with a habit or practice that has been useful for you in the past? Or did you try out something new and it's working well? Please let us know below the video. I'd love for you to share that. Or if you have any questions that came from as a result of session 1, please let us know also below the video. I'm going to give you just half a minute of silence as you go ahead and start typing that in. Great, thank you for doing that. A couple of comments I'll highlight. LB wrote, "Trust the rest." Yes, absolutely. No matter what you think, oh, I don't need to rest. Oh, I don't need a break right now. I just got started half an hour ago, 45 minutes ago, 90 minutes ago. It is important for you, no matter what, religiously, to take frequent breaks, do whatever routine you do. We'll do that in the middle of the session as well, just to drive home the point of how important it is, even in the middle of a lecture. Now, of course, most lecturers don't do that, but this is a Joyful Productivity lecture, so that's different and special. But I wish more lectures did, right? A lot of lectures go for an hour, 90 minutes, 2 hours without a break. I used to do that as well. Okay. Eddie wrote, it was very difficult to stick to my ideal schedule. Yeah, you'll find that to be the case when you first start. And thank you for trying at the very least. That's so important. And keep trying. Keep noticing what the resistance is as you try to follow the ideal schedule, and keep modifying your schedule again and again. Keep modifying it, making more realistic for yourself and making it more optimized in terms of, oh, I realized I should be doing this kind of thing in the morning, or really I should be doing this after this event, or I should be doing this, at this place or that, so keep modifying your schedule so that it becomes more and more optimized. It takes quite a few weeks or months, and in my case, years, to tweak the ideal schedule. But it gets better. It gets better as you figure it out. You will appreciate being able to work and live in a more ideal way. Okay. I'm just going to make sure everybody is muted here. And if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and chat below. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Okay. Let's go on today to talk about, we'll begin the conversation at least, about being organized. Now, being organized, people usually think of as, well, I've just got to keep my desk clean. I've got to put things into file folders, whether it's digital file folders or physical ones. I'm going to start the conversation by focusing on the priorities that matter the most. Now, hopefully by now, you'll know that really the priority is self-care and taking frequent breaks. Now, besides self-care and taking frequent breaks, the priorities that matter most, in my opinion, when it comes to your work, are your deliverables. Meaning, what are you giving to clients, to your audience? What are you giving to the world? I really organize based on deliverables, because too many of us spend too much time either not organized and then spends too much time looking for things, or a lot of us spend too much time organizing things. We just enjoy putting things into boxes and categories and folders, right? Do you know what some of you enjoy that. And that takes way too much time. It's unnecessary effort in organizing. There is such a thing as being too organized. It's not, but so the middle way, in my opinion, is to organize based on deliverables. What I mean is that you look at all of your files, all of your information, all of your actions and projects with the core question, how is this impacting my work? Or rather, how is this, not just my work, how is this impacting the people that my work is supposed to impact? So I call this a truly productive to-do list versus a to-drop list. And what I'm going to do is actually, I'll share with you on the screen in a moment. And I'm going to ask you not to look at the resource document for now. I will share the link to the resource document later for those of you live on the call. For those watching the replay, of course, you already have access to it. But just focus on the video for now. I'm going to share with you on the screen what is needed. But with that in mind, the deliverables, right? And organizing your work, your files, your information, your projects, your actions based on deliverables rather than based on, well, I think I need to prepare for this, or I think I need to prepare for that. I think I need to, put my ducks in order. Ducks in a row, I think, is a dangerous concept because you can put ducks in a row forever and the ducks don't even matter to your work. Not really, right? So you waste your life organizing instead of spending your life making an impact, which is really what work is about, making a positive impact. So the question I'm going to have you reflect on right now is, remember the learning modality that we're going to be using in this course, if you saw session 1, is first reflect on what's true already, what's working for you, and then consider ideas you may not have thought of. And then third step is to commit or recommit to what you want to, what you think will be useful for you. Okay, so let's reflect right now on this question. What are your deliverables in your work? And therefore, how might you organize your information and your actions? But the core question right now is, what are the deliverables? And then the secondary question is, therefore, what are the truly productive actions? So what are your deliverables? Okay, maybe just a few, list a few things. And then what, therefore, are your truly productive actions, which, of course, are linked to the deliverables. So I'm going to give you just a minute and a half to write on this. You can journal on this. You can journal directly below the video, actually, if you want. I would love for you to see what you come up with. There's no wrong answer. It's based on your own work. So here we go. Great. I hope that was helpful to start thinking about that. If you happen to be watching the replay, you can, of course, pause this video if you need more time to think this through and to write that down. And I would love for you to comment below if you so that I can see what you're writing there, and it could be shared with others who are watching this as well. Some of you are able to type so fast. I'm so impressed. Thank you, Liesel, for listing her deliverables. Free content. Second deliverable is a course that she is selling right now, an online course. And the 3 is client work. Yeah, those are great examples of of deliverables. The free content is a deliverable for the world, for one's audience, which includes potential clients, people that you just love to help and impact, ideal readers, etc., ideal viewers, right? A course that she's selling right now, that's a deliverable for her students, for her potential clients, for people who will buy her courses, right? Very clear deliverable that also impacts her finances in her business. And third deliverable she wrote was client work. Yes, of course, meetings with clients, things that clients are expecting from her, those are very clear deliverables as well. And so she wrote, therefore, her actions, productive actions connected to those deliverables are writing and making videos. Excellent. Makes a lot of sense, right? Versus, okay, here's an example of a potential to drop list. Remember, there's a productive to-do list, which is connected to deliverables, and a to drop list, which is tenuously connected to deliverables. We sometimes rationalize them as connected, but they're really not, and they could be a rabbit hole of forever. Internet research is one example. So if she's like, well, I'm going to spend time researching the perfect video camera. No, the Amazon choice, the first one that comes up on Amazon is not good enough. Oh, George's recommendation is not good enough. I'm going to make sure to get the perfect video camera. And she spends the next 5 weeks researching a perfect video camera. That is, see, the problem with items on the to drop list is that it seems productive. It feels productive. It feels like you're getting something done. You're getting more internet research done. But in the long picture, you could have gotten so much more impact. You could have made so much more impact spending that time doing something else, and letting more information come to you naturally without you having to research. Information about your deliverables will come to you naturally through the grapevine, hearing it from somebody else, watching something, noticing as you take actions that you want to try something different. Let information come to you naturally. Spend as little time researching on the internet as possible. That's where a lot of your time goes. I know, because most of you love to research stuff, which is why you love taking courses. I get it, right? Be aware of internet research. I only do internet research for my courses, and it's very limited time because I have only 6 hours to prepare for each module, right? Actually, even less than 6 hours, but certainly 6 hours for the first module for the entire course. So I only give myself like an hour to, and if I have additional internet research time, you know what it's doing? It's when I'm walking my dog, I will listen to YouTube videos related to the topic of my courses. Oh, I wonder what other people say about productivity. I'll listen to YouTube videos as I'm walking my dog, because otherwise, what am I going to be listening to when I'm walking my dog? I'll listen to random podcasts, random YouTube videos, random music, which is fine, but it's more productive for me to listen to upcoming course videos from other people to give me ideas for what I might cover in my courses. That's when I do my internet research, is when I'm doing nothing else. Doing chores, washing the dishes, walking my dog, doing the laundry. I can do internet research by listening. But then, you see what I mean? So be very, very careful. Now, Liesel didn't even say anything about research. I'm just saying, I'm kind of preempting because I know a lot of us like to do research. But I want to thank Liesel for giving us good examples of productive actions. She also wrote, coming up with ideas for how to structure the course. Yes, as long as it's time boxed, as long as I'm only giving myself 1 hour to do this, because after 1 hour, it's good enough. That's another common thing I say to myself. It's good enough. It's good enough. Okay, it's good enough. For now, there will always be a next time. More and better will happen next time, and the next time after that, and the next time after that. I think of my work in terms of iterations, and the iterations are always touching the world, touching the audience, rather than iterating in my own closet and not publishing until I get the perfect thing. Okay, so be very careful of making things perfect. always bias in favor of publishing. Oh, I'm going to put it out there and see what people think, get feedback, and then iterate for better, because you will never run out of people. You never have to worry about first impressions. I know this will come across some of you. What are you talking about? How come not for? I've been around marketing for 10 years, and I can tell you for a fact, you will never run out of people to talk to. Yes, of course, there's only 7 billion people in the world. No, that's not what I'm talking about. In the actual practical day-to-day, you will never run out of people to talk to. And the people you made a bad first impression for, they'll forget about it. And years later, they'll come back to you and go, sounds familiar. I'm not sure, but wow, look at her stuff. It's great. Because they'll look at it now from the 100th iteration that you've done 5 years later. Okay, you will never run out of people, because even the first impression, you'll barely run out of. There's too many people on the internet. And the ones you did the first impression of, they'll come back to you 5 years later and see, wow, be impressed. Because energetically, they were connected to you energetically. Even the first impression, they don't like it. They don't like how you write. They don't like your video. They don't like your image, whatever. But energetically, they felt like something was there. They didn't like the first impression. They'll come back to you 5 years later. They'll discover you again a year, 5 years, 10 years later. That'll be your 100th impression, 100th iteration, and they'll be impressed at that point. But the people who are meant for you will always be meant for you. You will never disappoint them. So don't be afraid to make whatever first impression, and the 10th impression, and the 100th impression. I know this wasn't planned for the course, but I felt like this was important as a foundational principle. I hope you'll agree that that's really how I think of joy of productivity is deliverables, bias for publishing meaning book, course, speaking to a client, going for that meeting, publishing that social media post, whatever it is, putting out into the world, and then iterating, another iteration, right, ongoingly. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is quickly show you my truly productive to-do list, and in the resource document. Also, this is under session 2, and what I felt like was even more effective talking through my list was talking through a list of somebody who was here, Liesl Teversham. Thank you, right? But let me show you this blog post you can actually read later. It's in under session 2, under truly productive to-do list. There's a link called My Lists, okay? And this is a blog post, and you can basically scroll down until you see what my truly productive to-do list is. And these are all, if you'll notice, connected to deliverables. Creating and posting content for my ideal audience, not spending too much time perfecting it, right? Paid advertising for my content. Otherwise, how are people going to see it? I see a lot of you posting on your Facebook business page, and you're getting like no likes consistently, or 1 or 2 likes. And I'm wondering, why do you keep doing it? Like, I wouldn't have the patience to do it. If you're posting to your Facebook business page, it's pretty much a requirement these days to spend at least $1, at least $3 boosting every single post that you want to get out there. Please stop posting to your Facebook business page if you're not running Facebook ads. Honestly, I don't think it's effective, because you're not reaching anybody. If you're not getting any likes, or 1 or 2 likes, what's the point? You're wasting your time. If you're posting to your Facebook business page and you're not running ads, you're wasting your time these days, unfortunately. Unless you already have a large organic audience. When I post something to my Facebook business page these days, I organically get 300 reach, 500, sometimes 700 reach. Organically, I get 5, 10, 20 likes, because I've been running Facebook ads for a while, and now I have an organic audience that actually pays attention, even when I don't run an ad. But before you get there, you've got to spend at least $1, $3, $5 per post to get you at least get your post out to your fans, or to a cool audience cold audience who might be your fans, who might be. Take my Facebook ads course if you want to learn all that. But I just wanted to stop on that point. Engaging on meaningful comments left on my posts. Again, deliverables, right? What's touching? What's making an impact? Rather than I've got to do more research, or I got to perfect this, or I got to prepare this. None of these things are here, right? Those things, you need to time box them. Be very careful, because those things can take years of wasted time and effort, right? Contacting fans or colleagues about doing market research conversations. Again, it's contact with the audience. It's not exactly a deliverable, but at least it's a very productive way to help me do research for the next deliverable. Being in touch with fans and colleagues and actual contact, that is, even though it's not a deliverable, I think it's almost always productive, right? Getting feedback, announcing my next course, again, it's connected to a deliverable. It's announcing, it's being in touch with the audience rather than thinking about my next course. That's not productive, or that's questionably productive. Paid advertising for my next course, posting reminders. So you see, all these things are connected to being in touch with my audience, right? It's connected to a time. It's connected to a particular time when I deliver something. Does that make sense? It's always connected to a particular time when I deliver something and touch the audience. Otherwise, it's questionable. Otherwise, it's a rabbit hole, right? Otherwise, it'll go forever, right? So anyway, I'll let you look at these things from the lens now of, is it touching my audience? Is this item connected to a specific time on my calendar where I will be touching my audience? If it's not connected, it's a rabbit hole. Oh, I'm writing a book. Well, when are you publishing the book? Have you announced the date that your book is going to be published? Because that, if you haven't done that, it's a potential rabbit hole. It's a potential thing that will drag on for years or months. Does that make sense? Is this making sense? Every to-do item needs to be connected to a particular time. And the sooner the better, when it has been announced to the world that you expect me to do this. Expect this of me at this time. And everything else should lead up to that. All your actions should lead up to that point. That is true productivity, right? Okay. All right. So let's go on and talk about, okay. And if any of you want a deeper discussion about how to spend your time when you're building your business, I highly recommend taking my Intro to Authentic Business course. It's very affordable for what you'll get in that course. So just again, under this, click on this Intro to Authentic Business, click on it. I'm asking you to sign up for this course, not just because, I make money selling. Of course I do. It's not that much money though, honestly. But what you'll get is you'll get a time template for what to spend time doing in your business. In my opinion, what an authentic business owner ought to consider doing. And you'll get a financial plan for authentic business as well as a marketing plan. It's all laid out in that course. How many of you, I'm just curious, how many of you here have taken that course, and do you want to say anything about the course? Help others to see if it's worth doing. Kristen, thank you, says loved it. Thank you. Okay. All right. The other thing I want to show you, actually, thank you, Eric, as well. The other thing I want to say, and Joanna says, it was a great course, helped me get a head around some things I've been struggling with. Joselito says, love the course, not only the template, but also the money goal templates. Thank you. All right. I really believe in the course. I really think it's going to be helpful for anybody who is building a business and wants a clear sense of the plan. Okay. I want to also show you this part of the document. I recommend that you put on your to-do list a recurring quarterly, so once every 3 months, to revisit your Joyful Productivity Foundations document. Remember in session 1, I asked you to create a document that showed you, or create a document for your own, sleep habits, nutrition habits, exercise habits, etc. Put it on your calendar. Revisit your own document once every 3 months and recommit to the habits that are working and revisit the ones that you had fallen off. Does that make sense? So go ahead and do that. I would encourage you to do that. Okay. All right. I'm going to just pause now for just half a minute and see if there are any questions related to everything that we've been talking about thus far, or anything you're like particularly excited by that you want to do differently going forward. Go ahead and comment below. All right, great. Thanks all for your comments here. And those watching the replay know that you have access to the complete chat from the live attendees, so you can go back and see if there's anything that you had, some idea you had missed that you might want to pick up as well and commit to or to think more about. Okay, so a question here. Darren, thank you. Darren says, I find that it can be counterproductive for me to announce something in advance. I can rebel against expectations. Any thoughts? And that's a great, great point. I would one idea I'm wondering about is, do you tend to rebel against any expected announcement? My question is why? Is it because you tend to announce it too soon? I mean, the published date maybe ought to be, because you'll learn over time how long it takes you to do things. And over time, I believe you'll get faster at doing things if you set an intention to become more efficient at it. But for example, this is a facetious example. If I say, I'm going to publish a book tomorrow, right? I haven't started writing it, then that's kind of an extreme example of, well, that's unrealistic. To say that I'm going to publish a book in 2 years would be too much time, because I think I can publish a book sooner than that. So it's somewhere between tomorrow and 2 years. And you'll learn over time what makes sense. When can I announce, or what date announcing that the course will be published is about right. And maybe it's a little bit of a stretch for me. That'll be good for me to stretch, but it's not unrealistic. So you might be rebelling based on announcing something too soon or too late, and you'll learn over time what it is. And by the way, even after you announce, you could say, okay, based on my progress, it looks like I'm going to have to push it back this date. That's okay too. Announcing is almost always, I'm going to say always, a good idea, because it plants the seed for your audience that something is coming. You can always say, hey, I need to push it back. Thank you for your support. Okay. Or if you have any ideas, or hey, I'm going to publish it sooner. Okay. But the other reason why you might be rebelling is maybe you need to try announcing it to a smaller group of people that you feel really supported by. So that might be helpful before you create a relationship with your audience that feels supportive to you. And then maybe it's just a good idea not to announce, and you'll find another way to time box your deliverables so that you don't keep going on forever, right? Because you can get a lot more done in your life than you realize. And challenging yourself to get more done in less time makes you grow in your life faster in many different ways. But the question is, how fast should you do things? That's something you'll learn over time, based on not stretching yourself too much to overstretch, and not being too lenient on yourself so that you're growing very slowly. So I hope that's helpful. It's just a way to find a middle way for challenging yourself and not overdoing it, and realizing you can do even more, so that you can make even more impact while you're here in this life and grow even more. So I hope that's helpful. There's a lot we can talk about there, but yeah, thank you. Okay, let's go on now to talk about this concept of organizing our information, our files, and our to-do lists. And the overall concept that I want to really drill home is this idea of capture, categorize, calendar. So this is how I think about any piece of information that comes to me, any idea for something I want to do, any thought that someone offers to me that I might want to implement. Okay. It's all under this umbrella of capture, categorize, calendar, meaning anything that you might want to do, capture it in some tool that you can easily use to capture. For me, that's on my phone using the app called Todoist, Todoist. Besides Todoist, another popular app that some of my clients love is Trello, Trello. So if you're not sure which to-do list app, capture app, another one, of course, is very popular is Evernote. Evernote, you probably have heard of that one. So whether it's Evernote or Trello, Trello, or Todoist, Todoist, sounds like to-do list without the L, Todoist. That's the one I use. And I've been using it for years, and I have looked at other ones and I have not been tempted to switch. It works really well for me. But Todoist is kind of a linear model. Trello is a bit more visual model with the boards of the projects, and Evernote is kind of an overall capture tool. But I really recommend that you find a capture tool that is easy for you to use, that's fun for you to use. That's really important, because if it's not fun and easy to use, you probably won't use it sustainably. So if any of you have a capture tool that you love, capturing ideas, capturing things you might want to do, reminding yourself to do things, go ahead and put that in the chat below. Okay, so Darren says, I'm old school, I use the bullet journal, pen and paper. Great, whatever works for you. The only thing about journals is that it's not always with you, and that's maybe one issue. So you have to remember things, and by the time you get home or by the time you get to the journals, oftentimes we forget about that. So that's why, and by the way, I've used Asana before, and every time I've used Asana with Teams, it's always so clunky and slow. I don't know why it's so clunky and slow compared to Todoist or something else. So I highly recommend, if you're using Asana, just give Todoist a try. It's probably faster and leaner and just more minimalist, but it has all the features I think that we all need, and it works with Teams too. Anyway, that's my plug. I'm not a stockholder of Todoist, although probably should though. Kristen says, I'm a huge fan of Evernote, have used it for 10 years. That's great. Yeah. So whatever works for you, find a capture tool that you use consistently. Now, here's the next stage. Besides having a capture tool, you need to figure out how to categorize your ideas, right? Some people do a bunch of Post-it notes, and they have a bunch of Post-it notes that are just everywhere, and they feel overwhelmed. So having a capture tool by itself, that's the first habit, is capturing ideas so that you don't always feel like you forgot something or missed something. Or here's the key, you don't use your brain for remembering things, because that just saps your mental energy. You only have a limited amount of mental energy each day. And if you're using your mental energy to remember things, you are wasting your energy that could have been used for improvisation, for creativity, for pattern recognition, all the things that the brain is brilliant at, better than any computer, better than pen and paper is better at remembering things than your brain is. There's that old quote that says, I think it's a Chinese proverb that says, the palest ink is stronger than the best memory. The palest ink is stronger than the best memory. I have stopped using my brain to remember things. Everything I write down, an idea, oh, I better remember this by the time I get home from my dog walk. No, an idea on the dog walk, I stop Buddy right there, says, Buddy, give me a second, I gotta log this idea down. I don't remember anything. It's all written down. So that's the first habit to develop, is capture, so that you free your mind for creativity, truly. So that you have white space in your mind, just blank space for creativity. There's nothing you're trying to remember. No loose ends, no like open loops to remember. It's all written down, okay? But now that you've got all the stuff written down, many of you do, right? You've got to practice the habit of categorizing every single day. Some of you categorize only during spring cleaning, okay, right? And you could, by the way, you can apply this capturing, categorizing to your clothes, to physical items too, right? You gather everything in one place. Some of you know about Marie Kondo, the life-changing magic of tidying things. Right? You capture everything in one place, and then you categorize. Same thing with information, okay? And same thing with ideas, dreams, visions, things you want to, okay. So categorize means every single day. You might have noticed that in my daily reviews from session 1. Remember the daily reviews document? We spent time categorizing, right, in the daily reviews. That's what I do. Everything that I wrote down, everything that I write down that I capture today is in my Todoist, and it's in the category that's due today. So that by the end of each day, I will categorize the ideas that came in today into, well, which deliverable, all right, which deliverable is it part of, right? And then finally, calendar. I calendar all my categories. Every category is connected to a calendar spot so that it's connected to time, right? If things are not connected to time, it's always questionable whether it gets done. Time is a gift that's given to us, linear time in this life. We have an ultimate deadline, which is called death, right? Life is wise to give us this deadline called death so that we get things done before the deadline. And then this life is also wise to give us the seasons. The seasons are an organic, ever reminder that there is such a thing as limited time. And there's the blessing of deadlines. Deadlines are a blessing. They are not a curse. They help us to stop going down rabbit holes and to grow at a good pace, right? So calendar. Okay. Now, before I go on, I would like to do the break routine. We're about halfway through the session, and it's a reminder that of the importance of breaks. So let's take 3 minutes now and go ahead and do your break routine. I know those of you who are able to do it right now, wherever you are, if you can't do much, just breathe. But I'm going to go ahead and do my break routine for 3 minutes. You can follow along with me or do your own stretches and breathing and reconnection. All right, here we go. And the first thing that I do in my break routine, I think it's worth reminding, is I review on my previous work session, the last half hour, the last hour. What did I do well? Okay, that's the required questions. What did I do well? I'll kind of think about this. What did I do well? It's good. I was able to approach this work with, I reminded myself to have a good posture, right? Okay. And then the next question is, what could I do better in my next session? And that's an optional question, but oftentimes I find myself saying, okay, next session, I got to remind myself about the posture, both the physical posture and as well as the emotional posture of bringing joy again, bringing playfulness again. So review and preview. That's the first thing I do. And then I do my stretches. So some of you are familiar with this by this point. I'm going to do a quick set so that we kind of can get going again. I usually spend a bit more time than that, but just for the sake of time, I'm going to start doing my energy reboot now. Breathing in love, total security. Love, joy, wisdom, purpose. Okay. Okay, so I hope that was helpful as a little bit of a break in the session here. So let's look at organizing. I'm going to actually show you an example of how I organize my digital files. Okay, and we'll talk even more about organizing in the upcoming sessions. I would love any questions that you have, anything like any reflections or questions. But let me show you how I organize my digital files. Okay, so I organize all my digital files in Google Drive. Okay, I don't have anything on my computer. In fact, let me show you here what my computer looks like, just to give you a sense of what's possible. You don't have to do it this way necessarily, but so this is my computer desktop. That's another discussion for later. During our digital decluttering session, which is session 6, I'll help you declutter your desktop. This is not because I was doing today's session and I wanted to pretend that I don't have anything on my desktop. I literally almost never have anything on my desktop. At the end of the day, it's always clear. And of course, as the day goes on, there's usually a few things that pop up here that I'm going to clear by the end of the day. And I'll show you my computer files, right? Literally, look at my documents folder. This is my entire documents folder on my computer. Screencast-O-Matic is how I record screenshot, screencast for clients, etc. That's a required folder. I mean, whenever I record something, it ends up there. Zoom is, this. So either of these I can delete with no problems at all. So I literally have no documents on my computer, no music, no photos. All my music is in Google Music. It's all uploaded to Google Music. So Google takes care of my music. All my photos are uploaded to Google Photos. It's free. Google Music is free. Google Photos is free. Unlimited storage, both places. And if you want to store original size photos, then you start paying for Google Storage, which is not that expensive. But if my computer, so in other words, I can switch my computer anytime because everything is in the cloud. It's very, very light. And of course, not having files on the computer, it also makes the computer run faster. That's another benefit, right? So all my files are in, Joanna says, no pretty background? No, I just have this background, which is, I don't know what background it's called, but it basically, as the day goes on, it turns more orange. So it starts out blue. So it's just very clean, very minimalistic. So it's just like keeps my mind clear. I find that that tends to help a lot. It helps me anyway. Some people might really like a prettier background. That's fine too. Okay, so my Google Drive, you'll notice two things about it. One is how few folders I have. Remember, maybe I didn't say this already. Instead of sorting, I focus on searching. So let me say that again. Remember I said some of us, myself included, tends to spend too much time organizing. So therefore, I meet that inclination with being a more minimalist organizer. So I only have a few folders. The folders are attached to deliverables, okay? And then everything else goes into a general folder, which is my drive. And if I need something, I will simply search for it. Any keyword, anything, right? If I'm looking for productivity, I press enter. And there are all my files and folders about productivity. And I can sort by last modified, or I can sort by relevance. Oh, I want to look at the things that I last modified. Great, here it is today, earlier this week, earlier this month. It's all sorted for me, right? So, so back to my drive. My minimalistic folders are my deliverables. So my workshops or courses. Some of you consider it courses. I call it workshops. I have one folder per course. Actually, I'm still working on that particular organizations. Earlier I used to organize it based on file type. Now I'm organizing it based on course. So in any particular course, such as Joyful Productivity, it has all of my files for the course. It has my bonus links, my chat, my intake form, my feedback form, all that stuff is in here. Okay? And then, another thing that's useful for organizing is having a templates folder. Okay, having a templates folder. Templates folder is basically where you create new documents for the next deliverable that you're doing. So the next workshop that I'm doing, I will go into the templates folder and I will start my resource guide with that template. Okay, so if I open my template for resource guide, you all recognize this, right? This looks similar to what you're seeing in the current resource document for Joyful Productivity, right? So similar, right? I basically just customize each one. So templates is really useful. Okay, and then let's go back to my drive and let's go back to another deliverable folder, which is books. Okay, that's a deliverable, right? Something that published, and I have a single folder for each book. So I have, inside that folder, I have my audiobook files, I have my book survey, I have my book covers, I have my book manuscript, the notes for the future version of the book, right? And then finally, the only other folder I have is my client folder, Masterheart. This is where I put the files, recordings of our sessions and things like that. And to sort is kind of really should go into the general. To sort is before I started doing this minimalistic folder, I used to have tons of folders. Some of you can probably relate to this, tons of folders. And I realized I don't need all these folders. I don't need any of them. I just put them all into sort because I almost never opened them. All that organizing was kind of wasted energy. So I just need to search for something, or I just need to put it in the deliverables folder. Otherwise, it's wasted energy to just do all this stuff, right? So, and then next, let me show you my bookmarks, okay? My computer bookmarks, are my browser bookmarks. I really operate throughout the day within Chrome, within Google Chrome browser, and so much is in my my bookmarks. So these bookmark folders are so wonderful because you can move them around if you want to. Oops, I just put the plan bookmark inside the Facebook one, so I'm going to move it back out. Just click and drag. If you want to start a bookmark folder, you just go to Bookmarks, click on Bookmark Manager, and then you can create a new. Actually, how do you create a new folder? Actually, let me show you a better way of doing it. So in your bookmarks, if you don't see your bookmark bar, just go to View and click Always Show Bookmarks Bar. And then it will always show up no matter what tab you're on. Okay, no matter what tab you're on, it'll always show your bookmarks bar. Okay? And then you could just remember I said everything I do is in Google Drive, Google Docs, right? And by the way, some of you are wondering, well, what about the reliability of Google Drive, Google Docs? It's more likely that your computer will crash than that Google will crash. Because Google Drive and Google Docs has many, many backups compared to your computer, right? And it's probably fast. And most of us are connected to the internet all the time now, right? So Google Drive is very reliable. I have been using Google Drive for more than 10 years. It's never failed. It's never failed. Once in a long while, like once a year, I'll go to a document and it's just, file not found or something scary like that. But then like the next second I refresh it, it's there. Or if it's something, again, once a year, it might be like delayed for 1 hour or something like that. But like compared to how our files are on our computer, it's much more reliable. So I organize all my files into Google Drive, and then every single file in Google Drive has a specific link to it. You notice that, right? Every file has a link to it. So I can basically click and drag. In front of the URL is usually a lockbox icon, or sometimes there's no lockbox, sometimes there's something else. But you can click and drag the icon or the thing in front of the URL onto your bookmarks folder, onto your bookmarks bar, okay? And let's say I wanted to refer to this frequently. I drag it there, and then I can right click, or on the Mac, it's hold down the control key and click on it to edit the item. And then I can rename it R, or rename it something, Joyful Pro, right? I can rename it something that's, and then press enter to rename it. So it doesn't take as much screen real estate on the bookmarks bar. And then I can click and drag this item and organize it in any folder that I want. So let's say I want to organize it under plan. Great. I just drag it, and now it's under plan. And then I can also click and drag under, inside a folder to reorganize where it sits. Now you might say, well, how do you create a folder? To create a folder, move your mouse in the bookmarks bar until you're not highlighting anything. Just move your mouse over like a white space, and then right click, or on the Mac it's control click, and then do add folder. Okay, add folder. And then this will now create a folder. And I just get example, right? Example. Now I might say, George, I can't find the folder I created. Well, it's because it's in the very bottom of the list, which is on the right-hand side here. So I click on here, I go to the bottom of the list, wherever it is. You know what, sometimes it's easier to see the bookmarks bar. So Bookmark Manager. And in the Bookmark Manager, if you scroll down the bottom, there it is, example. So I'm gonna click and drag this all the way up, okay? In my bookmarks bar, I'm gonna click and drag it over here. And now it shows up here. Again, you can control click or right click to rename it, so that it's not as big. So this is how I do everything. All my Facebook stuff is here, notifications, page comments. Some of you are like, oh my God, Facebook is so distracting. Well, guess what? I have a specific link to go directly to my drafts in my Facebook so that I don't get distracted on Facebook. I can go ahead and create rather than consume. Okay, so here's my drafts. And you might say, well, how'd you get to the drafts? Well, that's maybe Facebook coursework. But like, you go to the drafts by going to your Facebook page, and then going to more publishing tools, and then going to drafts. And then remember I said you can click and drag just to the left of a URL, click and drag it to your bookmarks bar, right? And then you can rename it, right? This is literally how I do it. Drafts, enter, and then move this into whatever folder you want under Facebook. There it is, drafts. It's it's duplicate now. So I'm going to control click or right click, and I'm going to delete this one, right? Because it's a duplicate. So this is how I go into Facebook and create on my Facebook page without getting distracted, right? So everything is here. All of my, my calls, when I do a call, I do a group call, Masterheart, I click on here to remind myself of how to lead the call, right? Grounding moment, the first minute, hello, and record the call, So I have everything I write down, so I don't have to remember how to lead a call. Everything's written down. Everything's in my bookmarks bar. So any questions about how I organize? So this is my entire day my work day is spent in the bookmarks bar and in my Google Drive. Well, my Google Drive stuff is all in my bookmarks bar. It's all organized here, right? And of course, I take lots of breaks. That's my entire workday. That's the sort of the system. And remember, capture, categorize, and calendar. If I have a new idea, I capture it in my to-do list. At the end of the day, I categorize my to-do list. Sometimes that means creating a new document. Sometimes that means putting something in the bookmarks bar. And then calendar, make sure that everything is in the calendar. Does that make sense? Okay. So let me go ahead and just pause, because you probably have some questions. Go ahead and put your questions below, and I'm going to take a moment and answer some of the questions that are already here. So, okay. Yeah, Rose, thank you for asking. Rose says, hey, you seem to have a lot of folders in your bookmarks as well. I showed you. Yes, I have a lot of folders in my bookmarks, but that was a legacy. Let me show you my bookmarks bar again, bookmarks manager. Look at all these folders. I use almost none of them, right? I use almost none of them. I spent all that time organizing for wasted time. So now I really only have the things I need showing up here. I rename them so that they're small enough so that all the things I actually need are here. My Google ads, my Facebook ads, my regular planning, my workshop tasks, my book launch tasks, right? My client group, my client Facebook group, my notes, even study music, right? A playlist for study music is here. Yeah, so everything is here that actually is my one-on-one clients, my client roster. Every day I log, if I had a session with a client, I log that into my spreadsheet. If they paid, I log that in. If I have a new client, I log that into my spreadsheet, my content spreadsheet. So everything is all here. Everything else that's there is all wasted energy that I spent all this time organizing things, right? So yeah, thank you for asking about that. So, okay. So Annie says, can you link Todoist with Google Chrome? Do you use it only from your phone? How do you categorize your notes? Great. So Todoist is linked to Google Chrome in terms of Todoist is here. Here's my to-do list for today. Okay, that's it. My entire to-do list. Okay, I don't want to, because I might have revealed some private data, so I apologize for that. Todoist is on an app. It's also perfectly synced to Google Chrome as a web browser app, and so I have it all day pinned. It's a pinned tab. So those of you who don't know pinned tab, you can right click on any tab, or on the Mac, it's control click, and you can pin the tab so that it stays there. And even after you quit Chrome and come back to Chrome, all the pinned tabs will still stay there. Okay, or you can unpin something and then just be able to get rid of it or move it around. Your pinned tabs can only be moved around among the pinned tabs. So that's another thing. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Yeah, I don't want to show my to-do list because there's some private stuff. I haven't even, yeah, I don't want to, there's some private things on there, maybe client names or whatever. I don't want to reveal that. So, but in the next session, we're going to cover how to work through a to-do list. So here's the homework, should you choose to accept it for this session. The homework is to practice, capture, categorize, and calendar. And what I mean by calendar, I probably didn't clarify that enough, is all of my to-do list categories, like work on workshop, work on book, work on, content. That all of it has a spot in my calendar. Remember, the first session homework was try creating an ideal schedule for yourself. Well, that continues to be the homework too. Continue trying to create an ideal recurring schedule for yourself where all of your truly productive actions are in your calendar. An hour to write a blog post, an hour to prepare the next course, an hour to reach out to clients, or whatever it is that's productive, that's really meeting the world, that's making an impact on the world, right? Put that into your calendar and then practice, capture, categorize, and calendar so that you don't have to remember things, you're putting them down. And every day in your daily review, you're categorizing your things so that it's not just a bunch of random things that are overwhelming, but they're all in your deliverable folders. Oh yeah, this is related to my book. Oh yeah, this is related to my next course. Oh, that's right, this is related to my market research, or whatever it may be. Okay. And then calendar means, okay, when am I going to do my market research? Well, is that in my calendar? Oh yes, I have an hour once a week for market research. Great, that's in there. So that's when I'm going to open my folder called my to-do list folder called market research, so I can see what I want to do. See, during the hour of market research, you can look at your to-do list, categorize market research, right? And see what you feel energized to do. So I am strict about showing up to my calendar spots, and then I'm lenient with myself about what I do during that spot based on what energizes me for that category. Is that making sense? Strict about showing up, and then intuitive, energy driven based on what you actually do during that hour. But it must be connected to the category that you have calendared so that you don't let things fall through the cracks. Oh, it says 1 hour for market research, but I feel like working on my course right now. No. Okay, fine. If you really feel like working on your course, switch the calendar items. Put the thing that you're going to work on your course Thursday at 2. We'll put it to right now and put your market research off until Thursday at 2. But it never just disappears and falls through the cracks. It's always there. You see what I mean? You never miss the time. It's always somewhere in your calendar, so you always spend time doing it. Show up strictly and then allow yourself to lead your energy to do whatever is in that slot for the time. So, oh, market research. Oh, work on my course. Okay, what would be most energizing right now for me to work on in terms of courses? Right. So that's your homework. Give it a try. Capture, categorize, and calendar. And then come back to the next session with any questions or any reflections. Oh, this was hard for me because I had a hard time doing this, or how do you do that? Let me know as you give that a try. And when you really habituate this capture, categorize, calendar, your life, your business will be so much in flow. My life and business is so flowy now compared to even 5 years ago, and certainly compared to 10 years ago, even compared to a year ago, because I keep tweaking my calendar. Right? I keep tweaking my systems to make it more minimalistic, make it more deliverable focused. Just keep tweaking the systems along the way. You'll keep learning more about yourself and what's really needed. And your life and business will flow more and more and more because you'll be calendaring the things that really matter to you, right? Calendaring the things that matter to you. And of course, you can have times in your calendar that don't have any appointments where you can just flow with life. That's great too. But during your working time, put your calendar items in and work by your calendar. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. I would love to, get your feedback about the session. So, and in the next session, we're going to talk about the process for clearing a to-do list and the course directory I'll talk about in the next session. Give me your feedback. What are you hoping future upcoming sessions in this course will cover? I would love to know, because I keep tweaking this course, especially with the live participants, based on what you all are most curious about, what you all are most energized by, what's most useful to you. So with that, I'll end the session now, and I look forward to hearing your reflections and your questions, and I will see you in session 3. Bye for now.